Welcome everybody to the Sonic 06 walkthrough section. In this set of videos, I'm going to be covering how to beat the very hard versions of the bosses, specifically the ones that you get in the DLC boss rush mode. It's very cheap. It's under $5. I do recommend it if you do like this game. If you don't like this game, then don't buy it. That's very simple. The first thing you're going to want to know is that the hard mode doesn't exactly change the bosses, but rather alter how you would tackle them. For example, the Cerberus didn't launch you off the horn as easily as it does in the base game. However, typically in this version of the fight, it will launch you off. And the reason for that is to make sure you keep on your toes. I will show off two examples, what happens when you do allow the Cerberus to throw you off and you don't time your homing attack correctly, and what happens when you do time the homing attack correctly. If you don't time the homing attack correctly, which you're just going to have to get a feel for it, because this game doesn't have very many tells to let you know if you aren't doing something correctly. Because it doesn't have very many of those tells, it is going to be a bit confusing whether or not you got the timing right. So in that case, it'll be trial and error. But once the trial and error passes, you'll be able to time it. If you fail to time your homing attack after being flung off, you're going to fall through his head and take a hit. If you time it correctly, you'll be allowed back onto the Cerberus. What you just saw there is me failing to time. That's just to show what will happen. Don't panic. You could try the homing attack, but it won't work because you're not fast enough to hook up to the horn. You will just fall off. Now that I've shown why that's a bad idea, you're going to see the correct way to do so. The correct way to do this is to wait for him to slow down. And once the Cerberus slows down, you will allow yourself to grab back onto his leg that is also a rail and continue the fight. As you can see, the rail is actually not connected, which means that if you do fall off, typically it's better to just allow the fight to take its course. But if you do fall off, don't try to get back on. Instead, focus on killing enemies and try to get your S rank higher. The key to the S rank will not be discussed in this guide. This guide is simply the guide to beat it. With that, we have now broken it. You do double the damage by ramming him into the statues, as you saw throughout this. If you don't ram him into the statues, then he will only do a quarter of his health bar. The following section features attacking enemies. This is the enemy assault mode. I'm going to assume that if you've made it this far into the game, you know how to defeat enemies, and as such, I will simply speed up this footage. With that defeated, we are now on to the silver boss fight. The silver boss fight is an absolute joke. Instead of waiting for him to say, how about this, just attack him whenever he's in the air. If you are doing this after you've completed the game, you have the access to an item called the red gem, which allows you to slow down time. Whenever you hear the sound effect of silver jumping, it sounds like he's exhaling. That means he's in the air. When he's in the air, he cannot grab you with his psychokinesis, so just use that moment to attack him while he's in midair. And with the red gem, you can abuse the fact that he will not be able to react in time to hit you back. And continue this loop until he runs out of HP. Once you do that, you have defeated the silver boss fight. Just make sure you don't get caught in a corner and you should be fine. Once more, we are in an enemy kill challenge, so just enjoy the sped up footage. If you are ever in a situation where you're out of rings, just activate the yellow gem. It provides you a brief invulnerability from a Vulcan attack. Vulcan attacks are attacks that just cut down your rings but don't actually hurt in the grand scheme of things. It also prevents you from certain projectile damage, meaning that as long as this is up, you should be invincible. And furthermore, it doesn't require you to hold the gem. Just keep it up and you should be fine. Normally you won't need this, but because I messed up the attack, I allowed myself to get hit by mistake, and that is a countermeasure. If you don't get hit because you actually use the camera correctly, then this will be even less of a worry. This next section is the Iblis Phase 2 boss fight as Sonic. Iblis Phase 2 is an absolute joke. The only real difficult section is the patience game. Of course, if you use the gems, you can exploit this boss, and if you decide to take advantage of invincibility frames, you can also exploit this boss. I will not be doing that for this walkthrough. I will be showing you how to fight this guy legitimately. The first thing you're going to want to do is look around for him, and once he's underneath the lava, you have to see what side he jumped towards and jump to the other side. For example, here he jumped towards his left, my right, so I went to my left. Against something that large, you do not have a chance against the small footholds. Once his footholds fall, you are able to begin your approach toward him. Pick up a few rings. Don't pick up all of the rings, just pick up enough to the point where you're comfortable. Minimum 1, but if you can get more, that's fine. The idea behind having rings in this fight is that if you get hit, you can pick them back up. Now, unlike the regular boss fight, this one has the Iblis birds surrounding you, and they will attack you, but as long as you keep your distance, you should be fine. He also will attempt to shoot these fire projectiles. Usually it's better to just run away from them, but if you have rings, then you can just tank them and nothing will happen to you. Once he descends, make sure that that ball of light is lit so that he chases that instead of you. Jump off the platform, or fail to jump off the platform in this case. Homing attack back on, and you can attack his eye. No harm, no foul. If you are successful in jumping off the platform, landing on the foothold, and then homing attacking him right after, more power to you. Excellent. In this instance, he has decided to down into the lava. So he was after where Sonic was currently located. Effectively, the best way to dodge that is to just keep moving, because he will attack Sonic at a point where he was, as opposed to where he is going to be. Fireballs, again, easy to dodge. Just make sure that you go to the left or right. Take advantage of the foothold, and use homing attacks as well as you can to make jumps that you realistically shouldn't be able to make. In this case, I once again decide to just fail to dodge that. The easy way to dodge it is to just move away 2 footholds, but that's not the kind of strategy that I use, because the truth about Sonic is that you have access to the ring system, which allows you to survive anything so long as you have 1 ring and you're able to pick them back up anyways. By this point, we are halfway through the Iblis boss fight. It's not a difficult boss fight, as you can see, but it does require some level of patience. You go downhill once again, and you must make sure to dodge these fireballs. Here, if you know what you're doing, you can actually get this jump early and try to influence the Iblis worm to go towards you. If the Iblis worm does not take the bait, which sometimes it won't because it'll focus on dropping footholds from the ceiling, the ball could break, and if the ball breaks, then the Iblis worm will not go after you. You could also try to throw fireballs. This time I actually do get out of the way. The light has fallen because we were not fast enough, or more accurately, Iblis didn't react fast enough. So we activate the light so that he chases that as opposed to chasing Sonic. Oh, my apologies. Instead, he opts to use the attack that goes toward the foothold, which, fun fact, in the base fight, he will only do that as the desperation attack. Here, he can just choose to do it despite the light being there. Interesting. We have 1 more attack left on Iblis. Once again, keep repeating the pattern. Continue to dodge the fireballs. Pay attention to which direction, left or right, he jumps out of and move to the other one. Wait for the footholds to descend from the ceiling in order to make your assault. Obviously, if you know how to use the red gem, or are willing to take advantage of invincibility frames, then you know enough about this game to beat him already, in which case why are you in this guide? And that should be good for defeating Iblis. We're just waiting at this point. Activate the light ball. See that he's going towards the right, so we go left. Let him destroy the footholds. Now that he's nearby, we just homing attack onto his eye, and the fight is over. Of course, I could just jump into the lava like a dullard as well, and risk death. Up next, the Egg Genesis fight, who I believe is completely unchanged from his main game appearance. There are 2 ways to attack him. The most common way is to go underneath him and attack the core. It's also the most effective way. If you want to do it the other way, you have to wait for him to descend and use a homing attack chain to get to his head, and on his head you're going to do a few bound jumps, and that will launch Sonic straight into the sky. The other challenge of this fight is to dodge the missiles. However, unlike Silver, Sonic is very fast and those missiles have no chance of hitting him. If you find yourself still getting hit by the missiles, activate the red gem and there is no way in hell you get hit. Those lasers have never hit me, so I highly doubt they're ever going to hit you as well. To make it easier, do 2 bound jumps to reach the homing attack barrier. It's a lot faster and it's safer than using the other method. To dodge the laser, activate the red gem, then initiate a spin dash. A second spin dash if you're trying to be careful, and if you do so, it'll never hit you. As time progresses, you may want to take out a few robots just to hear from the monotony of dodging the very slow missiles. I don't know what those lasers even do, if they can even hit you. I've never been hit by them. I doubt you will be either. Once again, do 2 bound jumps, homing attack the core, and repeat. This pattern does not change. As you can see, with 3 spin dashes, you can get to the complete other side of the arena, which just proves how slow this attack really is. I found a difference, however. There are more robots in the fight here than there are in the base game, but that's not impressive. On the last hit, the Egg Genesis is going to use a Desperation attack after you hit him. The Desperation attack has no chance in hell of killing you. Even if you get hit by the Desperation attack while at 0 rings, the death animation will take too long to play. Furthermore, as you've seen me demonstrate, if you use the Sky Gem in this arena, the first person mode will not be activated, meaning you can't grapple onto his head, as I thought you could and wanted to test. To end this off, 2 bound jumps, 3 homing attacks, and then you just wait for him to descend. Once he begins his descent, spin dash to the other side of the arena, and you will never be hit. That is the Egg Genesis fight. Once more, we are fighting robots, so enjoy the sped up footage. Regarding those robots, because Sonic never interacts with those robots during his main campaign, do not attempt to bound jump on them. He will just clip through their hitbox and take damage. Instead, just homing attack them repeatedly. If they do have their arms equipped, then you can bound jump and nothing should happen. But if unequipped, do not attempt to bound jump. As you can see there, that's what happens if you bound jump and they don't have their arms. The Egg Wyvern is very different from its main campaign counterpart. For example, you can't use the Sky Gem trick to kill it in 47 seconds. This time around, it moves so fast that you practically need to use the red gem, otherwise you are just going to die from too much damage. For these, just get into a platform where the laser does not appear, and you should be safe. As a matter of fact, you can stay on the corner of one of those platforms, and you should still be safe regardless. Homing attack onto his horn as he comes toward you. He will not say, "Here I come, Sonic," like it does in the campaign, and try to ram him into those falling crates. I'm not sure what those are, but try to ram him into those falling objects. As you inflict damage to the Egg Wyvern, he's going to break the foothold. Once the foothold is destroyed, you will no longer be able to use it. Watch as this robot suffers. Eee. Boom. This will be lather, rinse, repeat. If you find yourself struggling to land on the horn, just activate the red gem and it'll be easier. You'll do this again for the second attack. It's the same pattern. If you miss the horn, then you will take damage. If you activate the yellow gem, you won't take damage, and you'll just repeat the process. This will keep going until you actually land on this horn, which isn't difficult, but if you fail, you just do that. The reason I keep activating the yellow gem is because if I fail to hit him, normally that would take away my rings. But with the yellow gem, it just breaks the shield instead. Yellow gem can be purchased from the shop in Sonic's campaign. If you find that you don't have enough rings, just do a few side quests or keep replaying Aquatic Base. I missed the homing attack again, and as you can see, it is not an easy homing attack to land because of how fast he's going. I'm telling you right now, if you can't get it, just focus on red gemming. In addition, you might want to take the time to destroy the robots that are on the platform with you, because while they do respond, they are technically homing attack targets, which leads to the homing reticle, which doesn't exist in this game, but does exist in a programmed sense, targeting them as opposed to the Egg Wyvern, making it harder to hit the Egg Wyvern. Just be patient, and eventually the Egg Wyvern will be hit. I'm using the red gem to show off how you can easily hit them there. If you fail to make him hit a projectile, it's not the end of the world, you just go back to the platform. But now that you've seen that, we're just going to repeat this process, I believe, 2 more times, which will then expose the cockpit. What I'm doing here is walking in a circle and turning the camera, because throughout the fight, occasionally red laser beams will attack you from all sorts of directions. So it's a good idea to spin the camera constantly in order to keep track of where the laser beams are coming from. Once you know that the laser beam is coming, go into a different direction and you should be fine. They are faster than they are in the base campaign, but as long as you have the red gem equipped and keep moving, you are very unlikely to be hit by that. These laser beams, once again, are a joke to dodge. Allow this to go through, while I'm going to attack the horn, and once again, try to look for some falling debris to make him run into. Sometimes RNG will not be on your side, and that is okay. It just means try again. For example there, the RNG was not on my side. All it will do is fling Sonic, and that's about it. Those projectiles are the things you should keep watch for. Just make sure to move into a direction that you weren't in when those things were launched, because they move on a set trajectory. Another attempt at rush, but they removed the Here I Come Sonic, so he is now a bit hard to dodge, but once again, with the red gem, you should be fine. You can also use the red gem while in the air to make turning him easier. However, it makes the frequency at which you find debris a lot lower. So it's give and take. I'm showing off both just so you can see which one you would like to use. In the back of your mind, always remember which platforms have been broken. Even though you can see them, it's usually better to know where they are ahead of time so that you can react even faster. Remember that the gems are your friend. Once you get to the point of breaking the cockpit, he'll instead show his face, which means he will do the "Can you make it here, Sonic?" with the laser beams. Homing attack both lasers, and then homing attack Eggman. While you can just homing attack one laser and then homing attack Eggman directly, it turns out that the homing attack will be a bit inconsistent, but if you homing attack both lasers, then the homing attack is at the perfect distance to hit Dr. Eggman every single time. Always check around to see if any of the laser beams are firing at you. So what you do is just move to a different direction from where you were, and you won't get hit. Personally, I think this is a better boss fight than the Egg Viper, but that's just me. Remember that with the red gem, you have plenty of time, so feel free to walk slowly on the platforms so you can gauge your distance. Repeat the pattern as mentioned. By this point, he has 2 more attacks left. Keep your calm. Don't lose your focus. You have 3 platforms. You have plenty of room to dodge things on. I know it's a bit scary. You should be fine. There's the yellow gem coming in clutch because had I not had that equipped, that would have dealt damage to me. You continue with the "Can you make it here, Sonic?" by making sure to homing attack onto both lasers, not just one or the other. And now we're at the final phase of this fight. He's gonna break all except one of the footholds, and he will do one final lunge. Activate the red gem if you're scared, otherwise just allow him to lunge towards you. Homing attack him at the correct moment, and that will be the end of the fight. At this moment, I don't believe that any of the laser beams go after you, because that would be very unfair. One final voiceless "Here I Come, Sonic." Use the red gem to slow him down, and homing attack Eggman, beating the boss rush for the Sonic campaign. Have a nice day, everybody. Take care.